been watching a lot of ambience YouTube videos for ambience music. I've been watching a lot of ambience albums, and one of the thumbnails was this guy next to his desk with this lamp like this, and I was like, oh, that'd be a cool frame for a YouTube video. And so now I'm doing this. And I just got back to writing my screenplay, the feature screenplay that I've been writing all of this year. I felt called to talk about why you should also write a story or a script or a screenplay. Just write some kind of creative story. When I look at all of the work that I've done on the script, all of the notes that I've taken, all of the ideas that I've written down throughout pages and pages and pages of multiple notebooks, like fully filled, I get astounded at the fact that all of this is coming from me. It's coming from a unique idea I have, or an inspired idea I have from something else, or natural thoughts and feelings that I have about life that I write down and transform into screenplay, into creative ideas for the story. All of this is coming from me. Me and my connection to the creative source, to the source of creativity, where ideas come from. And I think that there's something extremely powerful, important, and valuable in this relationship that we all have to the creative source of ideas. And I've never spent this long on one specific creative piece, developing it, transforming it, the intentional kind of conscious work that I've put towards a screenplay. And it feels as if I'm building something, like actually the same way someone would go to work and build something, the same way someone would study something or develop something. It feels like I'm studying something, studying myself, the world, and studying it through this sort of spiritual act of, again, kind of digging within to that connection with the creative source, but also looking out into the world and seeing how I feel about life, and then being authentic with my work and transforming those thoughts and feelings and experiences into screenplay, into script. And I think now in the emergence of AI and other digital things that artists, especially this upcoming generation of artists, have to kind of grapple with and factor into their own creative process and kind of figure out how they want to use those tools. I think this act of going super deep into something, into yourself, into a creative work, there's something here that, again, is very important, but also feels like it's threatened, or feels like it's not the main thing that's like glamorized when it comes to being an artist, or being the best creator, making the best work for the industry, the algorithm, the people, the audience, whatever it is. What feels like what's glamorized, or what feels like it's seen as the shiny objects, are the technical things you're doing, the softwares you're using, the definitions of success created by industry. I guess it's kind of hard to romanticize or to sell the realistic or mundane act of the solitude writing, or just the own introspection or thinking, deep reflection, whatever an artist would do in order to access their own creative ideas. It's that process, the actual process, as compared to the product that can be sold or can be, again, glamorized. So I think on that sentiment, a lot of this message of this video has to do with process over outcome or product. It's the process, it's the patience, and it's all of that. Now, first of all, if you're watching this video, you can write a script. You can definitely write something. You can create something. If you're watching this on the internet, then you have access to a website or an app or some kind of program to screenwrite, to write a script. You can handwrite something, paper and pen. And it's simple, and there's power in that simplicity, because you don't need to depend on something else for the genius, for the magic, for the inspiration, for the for the actual valuable material that is involved with the creative work, with the creative process. It's from you. You were bringing that to the page. You're bringing that to the laptop when you type in a screenwriting software. And you can write about anything. You can start writing that story idea that you've had for years, that you've never really sat down to actually put to work, or the thing that's been floating in your mind recently that you've been thinking, oh, what if maybe I were to write that or turn that into something? Or you can just think of something totally new and just trust the idea that comes to you. And really the pursuit of this idea, the process of writing this story out, that process is the prize. That process is the gift. That is the purpose. It's spiritual evolution through the creative process. It's spiritual evolution because when you throw yourself into the creative process, you are communicating and working with your soul. And when you communicate with your soul, the soul communicates back to you. It tells you things, teaches you things about yourself, truths about the life that you live, the world that you live in. And it gives you these clues and messages through intuitive thoughts that you have, intuitive ideas that you have, revelations that you have during the creative process, themes that have been put into your work that you weren't even consciously aware of when you were writing it. It wasn't until after the fact that you either read it back or watched it back that you realize what your soul's been trying to tell you. When you create work and you go deep within, you bring something out. You bring something new with you, a new truth, a new idea. Going into the creative process and making a piece of work is about as close as I can think of as a spectacular cosmic observatory into the cosmos of your being that I can think of. And I think that this, both process, this rewarding spiritual process, and then the ultimate product, the creative work itself, which can, again, teach you about yourself and also teach others about themselves and sort of serve as this mirror to humanity. I think this is the real thing that is almost under threat in the emergence of everything that's coming out today, and the emergence of our exponentially expanding technology, our ability to delegate so much of the creative process to other sources of AI or other sources of any other processes and technology. And without going too deep into the whole AI art thing, my sort of thought on it, on my general, I guess, thought on it is that if you imagine everything as a walk of balance in life, every area in your life is a balance, and you're the tightrope walker, in the creative process, you could look at the two things as, your inwards creation and your outwards creation, or you relying on your own ideas versus relying on exterior technology, whether that's a camera, a paintbrush, a canvas, a microphone, an AI software, or whatever it is. There's this balance between these two things of turning inward and then turning outward for help or for, just help bringing a creation through. So whatever your walk looks like between that balance, you walk with your heart, let your heart lead the way, follow what you think is true, and keep that nice balance. But if you find yourself tipping too far one way, lean the other. And I get the feeling that when I see everything coming out today and our higher pedestaling of AI within society, I think it'll be easier for artists especially to lean towards the being dependent on technology and outside things, as opposed to turning inward, looking at your inner power. I think that balance is going to maybe become a bit more trickier and a bit more tempting. Again, the reason I bring it up in this video is because I think that very much is going to be related to our sort of collective handling of this magical process in creating art, where we can go deep within and pull things out from the subconscious or the collective conscious mind and show it to the world. Be like, hey, look what I found. Look what I found in my weeks and months of working on this story. Look at this truth and this idea that I came to, that me, a human, came to through my writing, through my creative introspection. That's another thing that writing this story has really opened my eyes to, is how much work it takes to get pages out. Like, I would say that some of those writing sessions, especially during the first, I'm on the third draft right now of the script, especially during the first and second draft, some of those writing sessions to force out like just 10, 15 pages within an hour or two felt harder than any other physical act that I've voluntarily pushed myself through. Like, it felt harder. Obviously, it's like, comparing apples and oranges, whether it's like doing a physical exercise versus writing something. It's hard to compare the two, but if I were to just go with my gut and say what I feel was harder, it was the writing, which again makes me think about all the screenplays and all the scripts of all the movies that I've watched and all of the work that writers and artists go through to pull these things out from the mind, from the creative source, to work with the creative source and bring these works into the world. It's made me just deeply reflect on that, and then thinking about money and value and worth, and how like someone can be a very successful screenwriter and all they do is just write ideas onto pages. That's what they do for a living, and they could be a millionaire because that's what they do for work, versus someone else who maybe writes just as much, but the world doesn't like their work, or the world doesn't vibe with their work. But they're working maybe just as hard as the other one, put in as many hours, and they care and they love their craft just as much. The first person is able to make a living off of that, while the other one has to find another way to pay the bills, or that they may feel like they're less productive in society. And just thinking about that and how we attach worth and value and meaning and feeling like we're a productive member of society to the work that we do and what fulfills us. Funny enough, these ideas are literally in the script that I'm writing, because, the art has to be authentic, and the art is like a canvas. And I'm just looking at the world and looking at my life, and I'm just painting what I see. If you're an artist or you're a creator, you have like this, it's almost like this glowing orb of like colorful light in your hands. And you can decide what you want to do with it in this world. That's your free will. And in the modern age we find ourselves in, us artists, and I think this goes for every other field in human society, but maybe it's more explicit with art because of AI art almost contradicting the purpose of art, which is to create and tell about human experiences and whatnot. But you as an artist with this power, in the emergence of everything coming out today, listen to yourself and listen to your heart. Don't be so easily swayed as to just to go along with the way things should be, or the way things are, or the way things are gonna be. This is the world, this is how the world is, just accept it. No. We can decide what kind of world we want to create. What does it look like for a generation of artists to create art and release it into the world according to the truth and according to that inner vision and that inner spark that first started that piece of work? What does it look like to prioritize the truth of the art and what is right over other traditional notions of success, of industry success, or of money, or of power, or any of these other motivations and factors? It feels like there's this thing in the ether that's almost tempting artists to write stories to satisfy external validations, make stories that the industry wants, write the next blockbuster hit, write the thing that the algorithm wants, release the video that the algorithm wants so that you can grow your channel to however many numbers. Again, the artist with that power in their hands, and then different voices from the outer world. But you decide what you want to do with this power, what you want to do with your creations. I'm going to try and wrap up my main kind of thoughts and message. You were born a creator. You were born to create. And you have this power to create the things that come to you in your visions, to create the ideas that come to you, and put that out into the world. That also means that you have a responsibility with this power. With great power comes great responsibility. However big or small you see that, you have it. And we are living in the emergence of the greatest technological expansion, man-made technology that is, that our human race has ever seen. And so because of that, there's going to be a hyper-dependence on external references of looking to something for validation, or looking for something to make sure what you have is correct, or to make sure you're in line with the current status of the world. It's this infatuation with knowledge, information, intelligence, and all this stuff. And so it'll be easier and easier to forget to turn inwards, and for you to ask yourself who you are, and what you want to do, and what you want to stand for, and what you want to honestly create, what you want to do with this power of creation. My message would be for us artists in this dilemma to not lose sight of what's important, and to find our own truth and connection with this creative process, with art and with truth, whatever those things mean to you. Value those relationships that you have to those things. Go deep with them, and don't lose them in the emergence of everything that's coming out today. Check how things resonate with you. Where are the points of resonance? Where are the points of connection? What do you resonate with? What do you feel called towards? Because things are exponentially being created and coming out, and AI and technology is expanding, so do we need to build up and strengthen our own spiritual relationships with ourselves and our relationship to our art. And one final note is that this story that I'm writing, this script, communicates how I feel about life, how I see God, how I see other people, how I see our purpose and our point here on earth. It communicates all these ideas that I have better than any of my words ever could. Something is pulling us to create things, to be put out into the world that can communicate what we're all feeling deep down inside, but maybe not explicitly saying. Communicates all of those things better than words ever could, or at least it communicates it in a different way that's very much needed right now. So however you interpret this video, this message, with whatever story that you feel called to write, whatever piece of work that you feel called to work on, that's the way that you're meant to resonate with this video. And I thank you for watching, and many blessings and wishes and moments of enjoyment for your own journey and process. Let's create together. I'll see you guys in the next one. As always, God bless. Dream on. Peace out.